Welcome back to another episode of the Sweet Shots podcast. Lucas Johnson alongside Mark Johnson and Chuck Johnson. The three boys back together again. It feels like it's been a while.
It has.
Chuck, you look way too tan to be in the northern climate.
Yep. I escaped for a few days and
Did you?
played a little golf. Got some sun.
We'll get to that because
It was a good time.
I want to dissect, how it all went down there because for us that got stuck in the snowbanks up here, we were dreaming of days like that.
Sure.
But today's going to be a great show. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to lean on Mark a little bit and his expertise with the PGA and learning how to improve your golf game this winter as we get into the spring. First day of spring was yesterday, gentlemen. So
that's what they say.
We're officially in the springtime. I don't know if you look out
with a winter storm
right,
for later today.
Another couple inches. But so we'll get into a little bit of that and then a lot of golf talk here today. Should be a really exciting show. But Chuck, right back to you here.
Okay,
so we go trip to Arizona. You got how many rounds of golf did you play?
We played 3
rounds of golf.
4 days there, and we played golf 3 days.
That's a good trip.
That's a really good trip.
Yep, it was fun. So the boys and I went down there. We were fortunate enough to connect with Mike Stoltman. You guys know Mr. Stoltman.
Yes, sir.
He got us on the first course, and him and I were partners. Just classic, Mark. It brings back the days of you and I taking on Stoltman and Dad. But Mike and I had the boys on the ropes, the front 9. We had them right where we wanted them. Then they pressed us. And Reader's Digest version, Zach played out of his head and scored the best round of his career, of his life, 4-year career. He shot 76.
Oh, good plan.
Very solid.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And Mike, if he's listening, he couldn't make a putt. And he was a bit frustrated.
Goodness.
I can imagine that.
Now, we say this lovingly with Mike. Mike's virtually a family member.
He is.
Our dad's best friend, one of our best friends. Great family friend. I have seen Mike miss the shortest putt I've ever watched a human miss when trying.
Right.
In competition in a Pro-Am at Wildflower once. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was trying to make it.
How far was the putt? He's shortest in history, but how short was the putt?
A little over a foot.
Yeah.
Maybe a
boy.
foot and a half.
You guys made him putt that?
Well, it was a Pro-Am. You had to.
Yeah.
You had to putt everything.
Yes.
Were you out? Were you there?
I
that day?
believe I was playing in that, Mark. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was there.
It was the 6th hole. I remember it. And nope, love the guy. The guy, but sometimes
He had a lot of birdie looks too.
he can play great. He can play
hitting it
great.
good. Yep.
And then sometimes, and that's what's great about golf.
Yep.
So you and Mike are partners, taking on the kids.
Taking on the boys, had them on the ropes. They press us, and then it just kind of went sideways on us, and they beat us. So we had to, at the end in the parking lot, fork over some cash to those guys. They thought that was the greatest thing ever. Mike was a little grumpy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was. He's like, "Get in the car, boys. Let's go." It was great. No, kidding aside, that was great. Mike hosted us. That was day 1. And played a couple other courses that we hadn't played. The last one, a little unique, guys. I don't know if you guys have played a course where the opening tee shot is on an island tee box. So you walk out on an island tee box. It's a resort course, so that everybody's watching. Felt like 10,000 people. There's probably 20. And you have to hit it over water, up a hill to a blind approach. That was a little unique.
This is par 4?
Par 4.
Oh,
yep.
Interesting.
What's the name of that course?
That was Arizona National.
And where's that at?
Yes, it is.
Arizona.
In Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. It's where the World Baseball Championship's going on. It's where the players are staying. So we pull in and the buses are there. And the players are loading up on the buses. We're like, wow, this is legit. And it was a nice track, really neat. First couple holes with blind tee shots was a little weird,
a little funky.
And then I got into the canyon golf. Like if you're missing, you're spraying anything, you're out in the desert, you're behind a cactus. Yep.
It's almost like you're a guy from Fargo.
Kind of
blind tee. We don't get many blind tee shots
or
around
any of that.
So for your trip, how did you make, for listeners out there that, hey, I'd like to go to Arizona sometime. Did you go online to make your tee time? Did you use an app?
Yep. So Nick had an app on his phone. It was free. Teatimes.com.
Be logical.
That sounds right. And we did a comparison. I just went off their websites and tried to book, and versus his app, and we saved the highest at Painted Mountain. We saved $25 a player.
Oh, nice.
So $75
$75
adds up, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's $10, $15
Savings though, using an app.
Yep, using the app.
There's some great products out there. Some you got to pay for. Some like you guys, Chuck, are free. So for anyone that's looking to get some tee times, whether they're traveling or whatever, there's some great stuff out there. But
I always see the Golf Now app
Yep.
advertised on the Golf Channel because I'm always watching the Golf Channel. But there's more than Golf Now.
That's right.
Yep. How was your game coming out of the snowbanks?
Glad you asked.
Yeah.
Having the opportunity to fine tune, I'll say, and work with the technology we have here at Sweet Shots, I really focused on my short game and figuring out my wedge game using the data, using the technology here. It helped. I shot 78, so that we had a running deal going between the three of us, and I was low man for the 3-day total. 78 was my best round. I think at 82 was my worst. So I was right there. And
Congrats.
Very
right out of the gate.
consistent.
Yep.
Very nice.
But definitely using Sweet Shots here. And I think that's what we're going to talk about is getting that game in shape. It was beneficial for 2 weeks being out there hitting balls and working on making sure I understand the data. So
Good.
I felt comfortable with the clubs, even though it was we leave clubs down there in the closet. So it was kind of a hodgepodge of a mix match of clubs. It wasn't my regular clubs. I felt pretty comfortable over those clubs though.
Good. Yeah. And not to transition too sharply away from that, but yeah, getting into, game improvement, Mark. And when we sat here and talked about, okay, how do you, what's most beneficial for someone? And obviously the technology that we offer here is fantastic, but from a individual standpoint, what's something people can do, maybe a first step here coming out of winter into now we're into spring, a first step, where would you recommend just jumping off?
Well, and that's what we talked about. This episode would spend some time. Let's talk about the golf swing. Let's talk about playing golf. How do you improve? Initially, get yourself back acclimated to making a golf motion.
Right.
I mean, if you're just gonna, if you haven't been making swings this winter in a simulator or out here at Sweet Shots, and the season isn't that far away. I know we're staring at a ton of snow, but it, hopefully not, a month from now we're playing golf or less. But your body needs to acclimate to that motion, especially as you age. For those out there that aren't the 20 somethings, as you age, you need to get your muscles ready to go. So to just jump out to the first tee, the first day the course is open, yeah, you can do it, but I haven't heard guys end up in the hospital or anything. But you are risking. You're going to swing harder than you think you're swinging. You should really get muscles thinking golf. So get out here and do some of that. But what I thought, we could talk about is real concrete. If you're serious about, hey, I want something different to happen in my golf game this summer. We all play, and I don't know if we tolerate the same missed shot, which leads to the scores we're not happy with. Well, you got to do something different. Yep. And so I was just going to focus a little bit on ball flight. What do you want your golf ball to do differently?
Right.
If it's a troubling slice, or if you hit it too high or you hit it too low, or maybe it's even contact. You just don't make contact correctly. There's no substitute for hitting the middle of that club face properly. So, identify what holds you back from improving or that causes you problems on certain day. Maybe, or you could look at your drive. You mentioned short game, Chuck, shoring up wedge distances. Maybe for others, it's getting off the tee. We were talking off air before we started. We have a 30-shot eval here at Sweet Shots that puts you through, I don't know what the breakdown is, if it's 7 drives.
It's, I think you hit 2 drives and 2 approach shots, and the approach shots switch from wedge, every 4 shots. It'll be wedges to long irons. So you go like driver, approach, driver, approach, in that pattern, and then switches up. So
over the course of 30 shots.
Yep. It roughly breaks down to 15-15.
Okay, between drivers and approach shots of different varying lengths.
Correct.
That's right.
But the tool that Top Tracer has does a little eval on your game. And it based on you enter your handicap, what your handicap or average score would be, and your driving distance. So you're not comparing you against a tour player. But it's a great tool that you could start. It gives you an eval at the end and goes, you know what? Your approach shots. Your driver was fine, but your approach shots were weak, or vice versa.
Yep.
So identify what you need to work on in your game.
And the nice thing with that is it also identifies your biases in terms of direction. So
Yes.
if you pull your driver but push your irons, or vice versa, right? I would say more common is push driver and or slice a driver and pull an iron. It's going to tell you that, and it's going to show you a breakdown. You can go through and
Yep.
touch every shot and make sure you kind of dissect it yourself. So you can
Yes.
take that very seriously and have a great understanding of your game after 45 minutes.
That's right.
You know, it takes 45 minutes to complete it seriously, and then you sit there and dissect it, and now you can apply that, whether you're going out to play or going to back to the range and just kind of work on, okay, how do I
And
fix
the
that?
beauty of that is then work on that game for a week or two, then redo the 30 shot.
Yeah.
You can see that
Exactly.
improvement, right? And for
Exactly.
those listeners out there that maybe have been to Sweet Shots but haven't played this particular, it's one of the offerings out on the bays, out on our tee line as you look at those games, right? So,
Right.
And our staff would help them get them into that. And then they key in, like you said, their handicap. And then the system takes them through those 30 shots.
Yep.
That's how that works.
And I would say for those that maybe don't have an established handicap, I mean, take whatever your average score is on an 18 hole, or if it's 9 hole, double it, right?
Yep.
And then subtract 72 from that, and that's a good handicap to at least start with. And it'll give you a great idea. It's a fantastic tool, and you know, after you complete that, being able to identify what you have to work on, whether it's by yourself or if it's coming in here to get a lesson from myself, Jim, or somewhere else, you know, you at least have an understanding when you're going into these lessons where, you know, a lot of times we started out asking, what are we working on? If you come in and say, I don't know, you know, that's a tough spot. Now, all of a sudden, we might go down a rabbit hole you didn't necessarily want to go down because we've seen something else. Where if you have, you know, well, my bias is left with my irons, I'd like to take that away. You know, that gives us an idea that way. You know?
So we should announce that we're going to partner with the North Dakota Golf Association. Spoke
right.
with Chris Guys. He's been a guest on this show. And the month of April, we're going to run a little contest, a 30-shot eval statewide. Top Tracer facility out in Bismarck, our facility here. And details will be launched on social media and whatnot. But it'll be an opportunity for you to maybe do that evaluation. And if you want to submit it and compete in your handicap category, you can do that. But we should maybe even talk about having a most improved. You know, if you do it multiple times, see how you improve. But
and some prizes of some sort, right? For the individuals that have that best score. So it's take a picture of that final score and submit it, right? That's
exactly.
The plan. More info to come.
Yep, more info to come. So we're excited about that. But that leads right into what, you know, we're going to spend just a little bit of time on. I was going to focus on, you know, ball flight. Lucas, you mentioned it, and we see common themes with most golfers that it's the irons. I think it starts with the driver, and we're gonna overgeneralize what we're gonna say. Most players slice their driver.
Yep.
So the ball flight starts for a right-handed player, starts left of the intended target, and will curve to the right of the intended target. Now, where the ball starts is influenced by the path that we're swinging on. You know, the road the club's traveling, and I believe that golfers react to the ball flight that they see by trying to control it with the swing. So they see the ball go to the right. What do we do to combat the ball going to the right? We swing to the left.
You aim and swing to the left.
Yeah, which actually compounds the problem.
Sure.
You know, I always relate it to other sports. If you're playing ping pong or now pickleball, and you want to put a little cut or English on that ball, and you want it to land and spin to the right, you're going to cut across to the left. And the same thing's happening in golf, just a lot faster.
Right.
But the same influence happens to a golf ball. So then I also like to peel back and go, okay, wait a second. Well, why is their ball going to the right? Yes, they're swinging across it, but most times I find the flaw is in their club face.
Yes.
The face will be open to the target and impact, and then open to the path line.
Correct.
So we don't have the visual aid here. I think Kylie might put something up that might explain this. But if the club face is open to the target and open to the path, the ball's gonna go right. It's gonna curve right.
Yeah, I've always said it, and I utilize it a lot. But that club face is basically the steering wheel of the golf swing, right? If it's pointed to the right, that ball's gonna go to the right. If it's pointed to the left, it's gonna go to the left, right? Because that's what makes contact with with the golf ball. And so, you know, that's such an important feeling for someone. They have to be able to feel where that face is at.
Yes.
And then subsequently control that face.
Mhm.
And the more that you can get someone to feel that, that's why you watch the PGA Tour and a lot of these announcers say, well, they have great hands, right? That just means they have fantastic ability to feel and control that face.
Sure.
They can make it do what they want.
The awareness of the face is huge.
Yes.
Yep.
And the sooner you can learn that, or the quicker you get good at golf.
Mhm.
That's where sometimes kids just have the natural ability to just space and time. They know where the club face is at in relation to their hands.
Sure.
And there is a disconnect. What your hands are doing, I mean, for some people, what your hands do and what the face do. Sometimes people can't make that connection.
Right.
And they struggle a little bit. So you need to create drills, create exercises so you can acquire that skill. And that's from full swing through short game, even putter to a certain extent. But to take that a step deeper. So it's the club face relationship, not only to target, but to the path you're swinging on.
Yes.
So you could have technically an open club face to the path, or to the target. I'm sorry, to the target. So we're aiming at, the white flag out there, and the face is slightly open to that white flag. But if your path is more inside to out than that, you will hit a draw.
Mm.
Now all of a sudden you can get the ball to curve the other way. And that in golf typically is the preferred path, the draw, the ball that curves right to left. Hook, not so much, but a draw. Because you're doing more things correctly. You're generating speed and power when you're hitting a draw versus a cut.
Generally further, right? I think
Ball
it's
goes further.
a generalized statement. I see a lot of kids slinging hooks, right? Because that ball hits the ground, there's no spin on it, takes off for another 10, 15 yards, right? Where I would say, some of the people that start later in life, a little older, they got the over-the-top cut swing, right? And so it's finding, my philosophy is finding a way to just kind of neutralize that. And I'm huge on, we start getting into course, I don't know if philosophy is the right word, but picking a side and taking it out of play, right? If 100% of the time you're going to hit a cut, whether it's 30 yards or 10 yards, right? You can lean pretty heavily on that on a golf course.
That's a fade. That's a left to right shot.
Yes.
For those that don't know.
Yep. A fade. You can lean pretty heavily on that, and subsequently turn that into some better scores because your ball's just not going to go left. Now you can get in trouble when it's too much, but there's something there where pick a shot, stick with it, and get to know that shot really, really well. Don't try and do too much.
Right. Know your
especially
swing.
for those.
Know
Yeah.
your swing. Know what makes your swing perform.
Yep.
And to have it within a reasonable, you can't expect to play good golf if you're outside accepted norms with either your path or your club face.
Sure.
And club face, the next step, the club face is influenced by your grip.
Yeah.
And
I was
it's-
just going to ask
yeah.
that. So how much is the grip impacting that? That's key. That's pretty important, isn't it?
There's
You're-
ways
you're
to make
huge, yeah.
every grip work, and work is in quotations.
Yeah.
But to play great golf or solid golf, you really can't venture off too far from what we consider a neutral grip. You could certainly have hands that are a little strong, meaning positioned on the club in a rotated to the right position for a right-handed player or to the left based on what your ball flight's doing. But the grip, how you hold the club is everything when it comes to that club face.
Sure. Yep.
And so, and that's where you need to grip it the same way every time. Those that are out here starting, they're going to come out and, I'm going to experiment. I'm going to change the grip on this shot. I'm going to change the grip on this full swing driver. It's like, no, you need to find a grip that you can repeat and match it up to now the rotation of the face in space to the path that you're swinging on.
Yep.
And, it can be overwhelming if you can't get that relationship between the hands and the face.
Sure.
And that's where instructors come in. That's where
Yes.
video comes in.
Yeah.
Because what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing, even I don't care if you're just starting or if you're an accomplished player, ball flight doesn't lie.
Exactly. Ball flight is king, and
It's
that's
physics.
Yeah, if you can understand why the golf ball is doing what it is what it is doing, right?
Mhm.
That tells a story.
Yep.
The whole time, from where it starts to where it ends. That whole ball flight is a story. And like we alluded to in the beginning, right? that story then translates back into the club path and the club face and what that relationship is doing. And the more that you can understand that and feel that relationship, the better your outcome is going to be, because you understand your expectations are different now too, right? If you know that you're in the extremes of both club path and club face, you know that ball is going to be offline pretty extreme. And it just paints a clearer picture if you can understand that. And to your point, that's where instructors come in. That's where videos come in. I think the best thing to happen to golf was getting a golf swing on a video camera, and you can slow it down and look at it, because you go 100 miles an hour, realistically, how much are you feeling what your hands are doing? And so to be able to slow it down and see, okay, here's what I'm actually doing. And I work a lot in extreme feelings, trying to get people to really, put an extra thought into whether it's turning the hands over or getting better rotation or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And more times than not, when they do it and they feel extreme, it looks pretty dang normal, right? And that's where being able to see that, videotape it, and then bring it back to them and say, look, you felt pretty crazy there. You look pretty normal. I think that's something that's a great asset to the
that happens community. 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
When you have somebody that needs to make a change, and then you ask them, okay, we're going to ask you to do a pretty extreme change of path here. We're going to swing inside out. I want you to swing what you feel like way out to the right, and they'll do it. And you should put them on videotape, and they're sure that they look like a act at the circus. Yeah. Like people are going to be laughing at them the next time they show up at the golf course. Then they see it on video, and they're like, oh, that actually looks good, normal. Right. Yeah. So our perception of what we're doing and what we actually do are completely different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And extreme drills, they get it done. So I'd encourage people to really get into their ball flight, know what your ball flight is. And if it's just inconsistent contact, well, that's a whole different deal. You probably have some movement going on in your golf swing, either laterally or vertically. You're lifting up, or you're moving off the golf ball away from the ball and back and through too much, will cause inconsistency in contact. If your contact's good, but your direction's bad, then we're leaning more on face and path. So I really encourage people, or even if you're out there listening and you're maybe not an avid golfer, or but you know somebody that is, do them a favor, get them a golf lesson as a gift, a gift card, and it's turning into a plug for instruction. But if it's with us, great. But if somebody that is a trained instructor, it's somebody that really knows what they're doing. And, I hear people on the tee line talk about, well, I saw this TikTok video, or I'm on YouTube. And there's some good information out there. But information that's not properly applied to a golf swing is going to lead to a Band-Aid fix, or even a worse mistake.
And something I'll add to that, because, you do see that a lot. There's golf TikTok and there's golf YouTube, right? And there's a reason our lessons are 45 minutes to an hour long, right? It's not a 15-second video clip, right? A lot of times that's just not it. So yes, it's good information that people are sharing, right? But it's very surface level. I would take that and apply it, to a lesson. Here's an idea as far as, I want to fix my slice, right? Communicate that information. But again, to your point, it's a Band-Aid, right? It's not a fix. And there's a reason, again, our lessons are an hour long. And I think that's something that having a second pair of eyes, right, to our earlier point, where our feels are way different than what we actually are perceiving, right? You can watch a video and go make a swing, and yeah, it's a good one, but maybe everything just timed up correctly and you're not actually doing it right? So having that second pair of eyes is very important.
Yep.
More than just watching a video and trying to apply it in my mind.
Yep.
So with that, guys, and that was some great talk. It flew by, and we're sitting here and we're not going to solve everyone's swing just in a 20-minute discussion, right? We just talked about watching a video, but I think the broader goal of it was to kind of bring up the discussion, right? Get people thinking about their game. It's spring, whether it's identifying what we need to work on, whether it's ball flight, contact, whatever it is, but get out, get excited for this golf season, and have an idea what you want to work on. How do you get better? I think the overall theme of the episode is let's get better today, right? Yep. And that's what we're trying to do, is just kind of bring that conversation to light.
Yeah, and I think leverage the technology you have here to back to that challenge, the shot challenge. Use that. For those listeners that are maybe new to the game that want to get into it, I know Lucas, you guys offer learn to play programs. I think the Nexus one's full, but there will be additional ones.
Yep.
Maybe just a quick minute on. Is that off the website? How does one get more information on that?
Yep. So we'll put out all the signups on our socials, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, all of that, and Twitter, and our website especially is where you're going to go to sign up. And that's a fantastic, especially if you're really new to golf and just looking to get into it, whether it's with your friends or by yourself or whatever it is. We have a fantastic time. Jim Bigelow, he kind of leads it and does a fantastic job of taking this super complex idea, like what we talked about, the relationship to the club face and the club path. He takes that really complex idea and distills it down into a really simple way that we can understand it and apply it, right? And our main goal, I would say, is getting that ball up in the air, right? Sure. Having fun, being able to see this ball travel forward. And then after that, it really kind of opens the door up into other ventures around here, whether it's joining a league or just having people come out and have a good time that way. So, keep an eye out for those signups because those will be coming out here fast and furious as we get into the season. And just a great way to build community and work on your golf game too.
Yeah, well said.
So with that, we're going to take our first break. On the other side of the break here, we're going to get into some golf talk, and we've got the Dell Match Play event?
I believe that's what it's called. Yeah.
It's a WGC event, so it's not a PGA Tour event specifically, but it is basically every golf gambler's dream. Wouldn't you say, Chuck?
Yep, it's like the NCAA March Madness deal.
Bracket
buster.
buster.
Perfect. Yeah. 64 golfers.
Love it.
Yep. So we'll talk about that.
It's going to be a great time here, so stick around for the other side of the break, and we'll be right back. This segment brought to you by Sweet Shot's first anniversary Scramble, taking place Saturday, April 1st. It's not an April Fool's joke. We will be here. We will be playing 18 holes of golf. Grab you and 3 friends. Come on out. We've got some great prizes. We're working with Mizuno, I believe, is going to be a title sponsor for that. So I'm going to talking to him. Get some things lined up. So we're going to have a great time. Hopefully the weather is going to be lined up. 18-hole scramble, April 1st, starting at noon. Four-person scramble for the first anniversary. That kind of goes along with the week of celebrating our first anniversary being open. So it should be a fun time. Come on out, Saturday, April 1st, 4-person scramble, 12 p.m. I always get that messed up. 12 p.m. Sign-ups available online. That's not a "Let's Get Better Today" tagline because that's not an academy.
Let's have fun today.
Let's have fun today.
Okay.
There we go. Jumping right into it now, gents. Let's just do a quick recap of last week because that was my worst DraftKings week I've ever had, and I apologize to anyone that listened to my so-called advice because I had 2 guys not even tee it up.
How?
Talk me through that. What do you mean they just decided not to
go
to the first tee?
Out. I'm not even gonna do the justice of pulling it up.
Right. I don't they got injured in warm-ups?
I don't know. But I'm not even gonna do it the justice of pulling it up because I don't even want to acknowledge.
So the lesson there is double check your lineup prior to the tee time.
Which I believe you reminded me of.
Because I made the mistake.
Yep.
Yeah. Just check it in the morning.
Yep.
Okay. And
so I was horrible. I apologize. I mean, moving on from that.
Okay. And you didn't submit a team last week?
I did not. No.
So this technically would be my 3rd win in a row. Quietly, I'm dominating this little fantasy deal. Well, quietly,
very.
Well, I mean, 3 wins in a row. I don't
good.
know if anybody's done 3 wins in a row. I don't care how they come about. No one has done 3 wins in a row. The week previous, when they were at wherever they're at, I had over 500 points, 512 points. I mean, that's all 6 players. I had 3 teams with 6 players make the cuts.
That's pretty good.
So as we're approaching major, TPC. It was the TPC.
yeah.
So the cream's rising to the top when it comes to picks.
Right.
And
That's what we're thinking.
the Masters is coming up.
Yeah,
And then
that's
you got,
your wheelhouse.
You got something every month.
Yes. You're feeling good about it.
He's peaking at the right time.
Yes, folks. You could do the silly season picks with Chuck and Lucas back in California and Hawaii.
Right. West Coast stuff.
West Coast. Now it's getting real.
Yeah.
And the cream's coming to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So this week I had 5 of 6 guys make the cut. Spieth almost won it, but he laid an egg coming down the stretch. But, beyond this, so yes, I had another good week. The drama last week, that Adam Schenk.
Yep.
There's a guy, he's never won before.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around a while. I listened to his interview before Sunday's round, and he was like, I'm going to go through my process. If it's good enough, to win, I'll win. If I don't, well, I want to stick to my process. It came down to the final hole for that guy. Oh, and he played, he chips in on the first hole. He's playing with Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
He's one of our marquee guys on the PGA Tour.
Oh, yeah.
I'd put him in the top 5, right?
Yeah.
Marquee guys.
People forget he has 15 wins.
Yeah.
So
4 majors.
Yep. 4 majors, 15 wins.
Shank's hanging with him.
Yeah.
Chips in on the first hole. Keeps, when he needs to, he makes a birdie and he's right there. And it comes down to the last tee shot and he hooks it left.
Well, both those guys hooked it. Jordan and Adam both hooked it. Adam got a terrible kick.
He's up against the tree?
Ended up right against the tree.
You can't make it up.
Jordan stays short of the bunker.
Yeah.
I saw a great thing where golf requires a little bit of luck from time to time.
To win, you need to be lucky.
Yeah. It's
a little bit of luck.
A little bit of luck goes a long way.
I thought he hit a heck of a backhanded shot.
That was an unbelievable left-handed shot. I think he hit it better than he thought he did.
Yeah.
What I'm really enjoying, it seems more this year than ever, is you're hearing the conversations between player and caddy.
Yes.
I think that's been intentional by the media or by the telecast, right? It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good.
And for him, I think they're really doing the caddy's job is to, don't let your player make a mistake.
Right.
And they talked through that and Schenk just kind of took control of the situation. He goes, I think it's worth taking the risk to get this ball down there further.
I think he said something along the lines of, I'm not going to have this chance, or how often am I going to have this chance? Right. Just he had to hit a miraculous shot to give himself a chance to win. He knew where he was at.
Yeah.
And he realized that.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic shot, and actually his tying putt that he needed to make lipped out.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about great drama on the last hole.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a go.
And we talked about it and throw Live in here, the Live Tour. They're not going to have that drama.
No.
They just don't have drama like that because nothing's life-changing for a player on Live, whether or not they make that putt or not.
Exactly.
But this fellow with the name that you'd never, ever want if you're going to play professional golf, his last name's Schenk. How do you, he's overcoming a lot of golf bad karma.
Yes.
Just with the name.
Agreed.
He's literally and figuratively behind a tree just with that name.
Yes, he is.
You have to overcome that. So I thought, and then I don't even who won it. Taylor
Moore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And that's my least favorite thing sometimes about a PGA Tour event is the guy that posts the score in the clubhouse and wins without being that last group out there or whatever.
But he also has not won on the PGA Tour.
Right.
So
meant so much to him.
Yeah, he talked about life-changing there.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what's so good about PGA right now, right? And then you bring up Live and you watch, I follow Ian Poulter on social media and Greg Norman, and they're tweeting like great crowds here in Austin. And you can look and actually see like 20 people. And then you read the comments and people are just ripping them.
Yeah. It's interesting because, it's a different business model and that, you've got the team aspect and you've got the shotgun starts and stuff like that. But to me, because there's guaranteed money, last place guy is getting $450,000 plus a share of whatever the team makes. There's no drama. There's no life changing, right? These guys.
Yep.
Dustin Johnson doesn't need another $4 million, right? He's getting $100 million to play or whatever it is.
As a fan, I'd much rather watch an Adam Schenk or a Taylor Moore battle for something that could be life changing like that. That's fun. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, we're into it. I don't know if the casual golf fan is the same way. I agree with you a
I
lot.
think they are.
I wonder. I think, it's like when you tune into F1 or you tune into Full Swing, you make that connection.
Yes.
If you can have the customer, which is the viewer, make that connection, then I agree 100%. But some people might just like the name, right?
And that's where I
Maybe.
think it's on the PGA Tour to push those stories, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, yes, there's the legacy side of things, but again, Rory McIlroy doesn't need another $4 million, right? The storyline of, okay, here's the Tom Hoagie, maybe he's a little on the fringe for as far as does he need the money or not, but Tom Hoagie goes from barely making a cut to making $1.5 million, and all they focus on is this last putt cost him $250,000, right? How about, here's a story of a guy that grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, and just went from making the cut to now he's making a serious payday. Like, how about that story? Or, leaning on these stories of, hey, this is life-changing for this guy.
Exactly.
Because not only does he get the paycheck, but he gets into all these other tournaments.
Exemptions.
Right?
Yeah.
Exemptions.
Yeah.
And I think they're starting to realize that. I think there's an overall movement. I follow great account Monday Q Info, and I forget his actual name, but he does a great job. I mean, he goes around the country following these Monday qualifiers and getting this information out about these grinders, about the guys that a made cut is a life changer, right? It's not necessarily millions of dollars, but it's a made cut, it's a paycheck. That's life changing, and I think there's a greater movement for that to be shown, and I think it's good on the PGA Tour to focus on those storylines. So some great drama last week. This week we touched on it before the break. Kind of a golf gambler's dream here. We've got our own March Madness scenario. We've got the top golfers in the world, 64 guys, 64 player bracket, playing in I believe it's Austin.
Austin
It
Country
is,
Club.
Austin Country Club.
That's right.
And
Harvey Pinnock's old course.
Is that right?
I think Austin Country Club.
Okay.
Famous golf instructor, wrote a couple books.
Yeah.
Little Red Book.
Or
Harvey
at least he
Pinnock.
could teach the putter.
Harvey Pinnock.
Yeah. Wasn't he?
No, you're thinking.
Wasn't that Ben Crenshaw's guy?
Oh, yeah.
Ben was okay with the putter.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Anywho, so 64. The interesting thing for the listeners is the top 16 individuals. So one would say, well, how do they determine these brackets and who's playing who? So the interesting part is they look at the top current 16 players. And so that Scotty Chef's 1. He's in section 1, if you know bracketology, right? Then you go 2. I forget if that's Rom right now. 3 is over here. That's Rory. 4. And so that's how they seed the top 16. And then the rest of the field is random draw.
Oh, I did not know that.
Based
Oh, so the
on
16.
based on buckets. So then you get those are the A's, then you got B's. So the next ranked guys, 16, are the B players, and they random draw. Hoagie would be maybe based on his number, the third category, random draw. That's how they do the match play.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they just go by world ranking?
Well, they do that for the first 16. Oh, it's just all across the board? Yeah, that's a good question.
I think you might top load it a little bit in that route. It might just, then the bottom tier down here would be,
soft, maybe?
a little soft.
Maybe? Yeah, I don't know.
I know. I think there's got to be a randomness to it, but that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
So then the uniqueness from a DFS, and this is a fun week to be in DFS. It really is. Because there's the optimal lineup. Last year, those guys that play DFS, heavy DFS, said 30% of the lineups were non-optimal, meaning people just went based on names without looking at the bracket to recognize how
30%.
30%. If you can be optimal in that, you do the research, find out where these guys are at in the bracket to try to get as many of the 6 to play longer, further. So they play Wednesday. That's the other thing. They play early. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's 4 people per grouping. What do you want to call those guys?
Quadrants.
Thank you.
Yep.
So they play each person, and it's match play. You get a full point for the win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Half point for a tie.
Nothing
For a loss. Those that are to win the most or their quadrant move on. If there's a tie, which there has been, they'll play Friday in a shootout, sudden death deal. to win that bracket. Then they move on. So it's going to go obviously just like NCAA basketball, 64 down to 32. And then those guys play. So if you think about it and you look at the bracket, don't just willy-nilly pick guys that you like.
Mm-hmm.
Pick from each of those quadrants so that there's a chance that they can get to the final. You obviously can't get 6 to 4, but if you can get 4 to the final, that's where you're going to make their money.
Yep.
That's where it's at. Course history, I'd go out and take a look at that. There's guys that continue to play well there. They love match play. They're strong in match play. Kevin Kistner would be one of those guys. Now he's not coming in the best form, so he's kind of taking a chance. But he's a match play guy. He's that kind of bulldog guy, right? Where he gets up for this event.
Horschel's win percentage is up near 60%.
Yeah.
This deal is like Billy Horschel,
and he's at $7,900.
Yep.
There's some tremendous value out there again because it's a top loaded event, right? You got the best 64 in the world, and so there's some awesome value, and then you throw in match play, which we've touched on it before on the show, but anything can happen in match play.
Agreed.
Anything.
So for the casual listener, or those listeners that want to follow us and pick teams, go out, Google search the bracket, and then build your team off of the bracket with the idea of trying to get as many to the Final Four from different brackets.
Well, here's the problem. They're going to listen to this, and it's already started. Right? So is there daily?
Does it start on Wednesday?
It starts on Wednesday.
Starts on Wednesday.
That's a good point, Mark. Yeah.
So is there daily
I think
matches?
Boy, that's a good question. I
So
don't
we might
remember
just be talking to ourselves here.
We might be. We apologize.
Still
for that.
fun.
Yeah.
Still fun. I guess I didn't think about that. I didn't
Yeah, it
think
starts
it would start
Wednesday.
on Wednesday.
Yep.
Oh.
I bet there's still some daily
There might be.
round play.
Let's assume there is, and let's get into it.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Well, yeah, moving on. So I'm gonna go. Let's go, Mark.
Yeah, the goat.
Okay,
the goat
there
over
you
there
go.
gets to go.
I followed your quadrant concept, and I'm going with just hot players, just flat out hot. Well,
Who's coming in well?
yeah, but
Good
you
form.
can't just do that because you still have a salary cap, so
That's right.
you can't just go all out. So, no particular order. Matt Fitzpatrick. I know he didn't play well his last outing, but he's a match play guy. He won the U.S. Amateur.
I like
I just think he's a little bulldog. And when they're going to play that round robin in their bracket. I just think he's going to rise to the top. From another bracket, I got Scheffler. I just don't know how anybody's going to beat him over the course.
Defending champ,
Yes.
and he was second the
yeah.
year before that.
Yeah, so you got to.
Yep.
I think you
That's
have to
a good
have
pick.
him.
Yep.
On the team, Homa out of that quadrant.
Wow.
I got Homa. I just
Nice.
think I think he's just playing such good golf, and I didn't feel like I wanted to rely on anybody else from that quadrant. And then got Ricky Fowler coming out of one of the quadrants. He's playing some good golf, and he's making some doubles. You know, so if he was making a lot of bogeys, that's not a good recipe in match play. But if you're making some doubles and others, and you're still competing on the PGA Tour, that's good match play.
I like
golf.
it.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I
So
like that
that's
pick.
good.
so those are my 4 heavy hitters: Fitzpatrick, Fowler, Homa, and Scheffler. And then I rounded it out with value of value: 6,000 JJ Spahn.
Yep.
And again, I tried to look at some brackets where maybe they've got a chance, but mostly it was driven by just who's $6,000 or $6,100, and Hughes, something called
Mac McKenzie.
Mackenzie
Yep.
Hughes.
Yep.
Which actually Mackenzie Hughes, his winning percentage is positive.
Yeah.
I think if I
Mhm.
remember correctly.
That's nice. That's
So
a good
that's-
team.
So that's my team. I went 4 of the heaviest hitters I could from different quadrants, and then just take a shot at 2 others. I don't know if that's sound philosophy, but that's what I did.
I like it.
Sure.
That's solid.
I'll take over here. So I went a little more middle of the road. Didn't necessarily load up on heavy hitters, but out of the groups. So you have the quadrants and then you have the groups.
Yeah.
I ended up, the guys that I was looking at were statistically some of the better ones in the group.
Yep.
Right. Their win percentage is in the green, and then their current form is in the green.
Okay.
So I started off with Max Homa. I think he's going to be fantastic. And then at $10,100, he opened up a lot for me. Right. And, next I went was Cameron Young, and my other option or strategy, because I didn't do a Scotty Scheffler, and I really like that pick. I mean, he tends to defend well and he plays well here. Picking guys that avoid Scotty Scheffler for as long as we
Yes.
can.
Oh,
Right.
Right?
The buzzsaw.
Yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
good point.
if he's
That's-
going to
I
play
like it.
well, I mean, let's delay
Yep.
the inevitable,
Yep.
right? So I've got Cameron Young in there, who I think he's a sneaky pick in there. He, again, avoids him. I think the first guy I got that has a chance to play Scheffler is it Chris Kirk?
Okay.
Is that
Yep.
yeah, Chris Kirk?
Yep, he won this year.
Yep.
Mhm.
So he's got a good record going. Played well recently. Then I'm looking Will Zalatoris.
Mhm. I like it.
He hasn't played well recently, I will say, but he's got a great game, and he's just
Yep.
got to find a way to get the ball in the hole. So his match play percentage is in the positive,
Solid.
so that's good too. Then I jumped down to Seamus Power.
Yes.
Yeah.
So kind of a
Yep.
flyer on
Yep.
that one, but
Yep.
recent form's been okay, and he's got a decent match play. Again, most of these guys are leading their group in terms of
Yeah.
match play wins.
I like it.
And that's kind of my strategy on that. And then I rounded it out with a Maverick McNeely,
Yep.
who I really enjoy. And
Yep.
actually, he's a steal at $6,800, and in his group is statistically the best.
I've been watching him a little bit. You know, he was my guy on the West Coast, and he burned me a couple times. He withdrew.
Yeah,
So I thought maybe there was something going on injury-wise. Now, I do believe he made the cut the last couple of events he's played in Florida.
Yep.
And he's not a Florida guy. So that's
Maybe.
a good trend.
Yep.
His
Turned
last
it up.
24 rounds, he's struggled. I mean, he's right around 0 as far as strokes gained, but he's lost a lot in ball striking. Now his putting, he's a heck of a putter. So
Yeah.
he's actually gained strokes in putting,
And
which
you guys know match play.
in
It's-
match play that's big. But
Yep.
you look at the rest of his group, he's got Sung J M, Tommy Fleetwood, and JT Poston, and all three of those guys have negative win ratios.
There
in
you go.
match play.
I like it.
Fleetwood's playing better, though. He had a
Yeah.
good week.
He did. It was good to see.
Yeah. I like Tommy
Fleetwood.
Fleetwood.
Me too.
He's a good guy to root for,
the
except
little
in
guy.
this case, Maverick McNeely. Let's go.
How about who is the other Englishman that got in a fight with his caddy? on the
Wallace.
18th hole?
Yeah,
Mr. Wallace.
little hothead.
It was.
Yeah.
He reminded me of some of the, and I hope not many of these guys listen, the Dakotas Tour pros that roll in here, and they can get a little short with you sometimes,
Mm.
you know, and they were having a heated discussion.
I would guess this isn't the first time, though, because they were hugging and smiling after the fact. So,
Okay.
you know, if I caddy for him, I would never, but I would probably go into it with the expectation that every once in a while he's probably going to yell at me, but I know at the end of the day, if things work out well, water under the bridge.
Yeah, he said he got upset with him because he had decided to play the ball off the cart path, and he was in his routine to hit the shot, and the caddy called him off
Oh.
and went, "Hey, you sure you don't want to take a drop over here?
Oh.
Maybe
oh.
move it off and let's take a drop." And I think Wallace was upset that, hey, once I commit to hitting the shot, don't back me off.
Sure.
Because now you got me
Yeah.
out of my
flustered.
deal. Thank goodness he made par.
He made
so
par. It
I
was a
don't-
heck of a par.
It was a
actually.
great par.
Off the cart path, or did he move it?
Off the cart path, he ended
Okay.
up short, and then
Yeah.
he hit his next. I mean, it was probably a 35, 40-yard pitch.
Yep.
And then
Was that Saturday? It was probably Saturday's
It was
round.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
was very
All right.
anyways.
You guys want to hear the winning squad?
Yep. Let's
Okay.
hear it.
you just did.
So that's good. That's good. A few of the guys you named that are on your squad, I also have. I'm starting with Scotty. Got to have Chef, I feel. Okay. I'm also going Rory on the opposite
Yeah, I
side.
looked at Rory. Mhm.
So I've got a couple big hitters
Mhm.
with the idea. Hopefully I think Rory's got to step it up here a little bit with
He
the
did.
Augusta coming.
He did make an equipment change. It was big.
Did he?
I saw that it was a length deal on his driver. I think he went shorter with his driver length. And reports out of Augusta, he probably played a practice round.
Yep.
And reports out of Augusta said it went very well.
Okay.
With the new change.
I
So
think
like
he's
that.
I think he's taken on too much of this PGA Tour stuff.
That's my take
I
as
think
well.
I think he's distracted. I think he's feeling the weight of the world a little bit.
okay.
With the-
Representing.
I saw
representing
a
PGA
deal
Tour.
where some people
Yep.
are like, he's basically like a CEO of the PGA Tour
Yeah.
right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
That's
traveling
big.
to all these meetings
It's a
and stuff
lot.
like that. Golf's almost taking a back seat.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Jeez, thanks, guys. But I'm going to keep him on my squad. Then I've got a guy that's got an unbelievable match record here, Billy Horschel.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, you
Billy
talked to
Horschel.
him
Yep.
about that.
Great shoes.
Then a dude that's a little bulldog. He's off his game right now, but I think he's going to step it up. Is Kistner? I think he may have won this once, or I know he
did.
was running around.
Always won it.
He does. Yep.
I think he's run it Kisner?
Yeah.
Twice.
Because he won it twice. He's
good.
terrible form. So this is a little
That's
bit
a
of
long shot, but you did heavy load it. So, I mean,
Then I also have Seamus, Mr. Power.
Yeah.
And then the salary saver, I got JJ Spawn as well.
Yeah.
I liked his bracket or his grouping.
Yeah.
I think with Christian Bezuza-Hoot.
That's a good team.
Solid.
That's a
Decent,
good team.
I think.
You found a way to get Kisner on there and McElroy and Scheffler.
You never know. It's match play. It should be fun.
it's match play. Yeah, that's, I think,
I'm going to save it. Should
one
I
of
probably
the-
hit save?
yes.
We're
That's the
saving.
other rookie
Mark, did
mistake.
you do the
I
save?
just saved mine.
Okay, good.
I think one of the rare occasions we get to watch match play, and
right.
I think it's makes for great golf. It's very, guys are taking different lines. They're more aggressive on certain shots, and I think it leads just to in general more fun golf to watch.
Well, I agree with that early in the week. I think sometimes on the weekend, if they get the wrong guys in the finals, I think they're vulnerable to poor ratings.
Yeah. That's true.
That's true.
I mean, we dig it. I mean, we're into it.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a marquee name,
They don't have a Scheffler versus McElroy. Or
Right.
Yeah.
That's
and if they do, I think the ratings could go out of
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
out of the roof,
Right.
over the roof, through the roof,
Through the roof.
To grandmother's house we go.
We figured it out. All right.
Yeah, great. Keep an eye on those. Again, hopefully there's some dailies to get out here. Again, poor planning on our part. Didn't realize it started on Wednesday, so apologies for that. But follow along with us as our teams battle it out. Here's a little March Madness for golfers, and let's get better today. Let's get serious about our golf game. We talked about how to improve that and some ways to do that. So don't be afraid. Reach out, whether it's through the website or just an email, and we're going to do our best to help you out. We'll make this the best summer yet for golf. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.